What's going on, guys? Welcome to another video. In this video we'll be looking at a grid-tied system, an off-grid system, and a hybrid system. We find out their characteristics, their advantages, their limitations, and also their use cases. Before you go into what grid-tied, off-grid system, and hybrid system, what it means, let's first of all define what grid means. Grid are centralized electrical power distribution networks that connects power generation sources like power plants to consumers. It also includes transmission lines, substations, transformers, transmission infrastructure that delivers electricity to end users. Then let's look at a grid-tied system. A grid-tied system is a solar energy or other renewable energy setup that is connected to the public electricity grid. It generates electricity from solar energy or other renewable energy sources and either uses it on site or feed excess back to the public electricity grid. Then let's look at their characteristics. The number one characteristic of a grid-tied system is that they are connected to the grid. The system does not work independent of the grid. It always works hand in hand with the grid. Then the second characteristic is that it doesn't have battery. For a grid-tied system, the grid acts as the battery, such that during daytime when you have enough sunlight, the solar panels will be able to produce enough energy that your house uses. Then during bad weather or during night hours, when the solar panels is not producing enough or is not producing any energy, the public electricity grid will now supply you energy during those times that you don't have enough power generation from your solar panels. So in this case, the utility grid acts as your battery backup. Then the third one is that for a grid-tied system, it also have the option of net metering, so that when you have excess energy during daytime, when you have enough sun and your solar panels is producing more than enough to power your loads, excess electricity that can now be fed to the grid to get some credit from the public utility grid, depending on your country and on your location. Then the next one is that grid-tied system is a very cost-effective setup, so that you don't spend much money in buying batteries and other accessories. You just need to buy your panels, your grid-tied inverter, and your energy meter to calculate what you are consuming and what you are exporting to the grid. So it's a very cost-effective setup. The next characteristic is that there is system shutdown during grid outage. So once there is grid outage, that the grid cuts off power, you will lose power in your own house, most especially during night hours or during bad weather. Then let's look at the advantages. The number one advantage of a grid-tied system is that it has low installation and maintenance cost. Like we said earlier, a grid-tied system just requires a grid-tied inverter, solar panels, and energy meter. Solar panels have a very long lifespan, between 25 to 30 years lifespan, and it doesn't require much maintenance once installed properly by a qualified personnel. So you don't spend much money in buying batteries and other accessories that is needed for other systems like off-grid systems. The cost of installation and maintenance is low. Then the second advantage of a grid-tied system is that it reduces electricity bill through self-consumption and net metering. Self-consumption is the energy you produce during daytime when the sun is shining or from other renewable energy sources that is used in your house immediately. That is self-consumption. So then the net metering, as we said earlier, is the one you feed to the grid. They'll get some money from the utility grid for feeding back to the grid. This self-consumption, the one you consume now, you don't have to pay for it. And also the one that you fed to the grid will be deducted from your energy bill. The next advantage is that it has a very simple design. Design is not complex, unlike other systems. Then another one is that it is suitable for urban areas with stable grid power. So for a grid-tied system to work, you need a very stable grid power, because the grid is now acting as your battery. So once there is not enough sunlight from the solar panels or from other renewable energy source, your whole system will shut down. You need a very stable grid power in your location for you to be able to use a grid-tied system. Then we look at their limitations. The number one limitation of a grid-tied system is that there is no power during grid failure. Once the grid fails, your whole system will shut down because you don't have any energy storage option aside from the grid. The second one is that a grid-tied system depends on the grid availability and stability. Then the next limitation is that It's not ideal for remote areas with no grid access. So where you don't have grid access, you cannot use a grid tie system. Then we look into an off-grid system. Off-grid system are standalone power system that operates independent of the public electricity grid. It generates, stores and supplies electricity locally using solar energy, though it may include hydro, wind or diesel generators. Off-grid system is essential in remote or rural areas where there is no grid access or unreliable grid. Then we look into the characteristics of an off-grid system. Number one is complete independent of the grid. For an off-grid system, you are totally independent of the grid. You don't rely on the grid for your electricity. The second one is that it requires energy storage and optional backup generator. For an off-grid system, due to the fact that you don't have the grid, you need an energy storage system like the batteries to store excess electricity that is generated from your solar panels. Also, you need optional backup generator for rainy days or extended bad weather condition. When your solar panels is not producing enough for a period of time due to cloudy weather, you can use your backup generator to charge up your batteries. Then the next one is off-grid system is designed for self-sufficiency, so that you design your system based on your energy consumption. Then we look into the advantages. The number one advantage of an off-grid system is full energy independence. For an off-grid system, you are fully energy independent. You are not relying on the grid for power. You can use your electricity whenever you want it, anytime, any day. Then the second one is that it is ideal for rural or remote areas. So if you are living in remote areas or rural areas where there is no grid access, off-grid system is a very good choice for you. Then we look at their limitations. The number one limitation of an off-grid system is high initial cost. An off-grid system setup is not cheap. The cost of buying batteries, buying enough panels to charge up your batteries and to be able to power your loads and other necessary equipment needed for an off-grid system is not cheap. So going fully off-grid is expensive. The second one is that it requires battery maintenance and replacement. Batteries degrade over time, so they will not be able to hold the same amount of charge for a long period of time. With time, they begin to degrade and begin to lose their efficiency and backup capability. So it requires frequent maintenance and in worst case scenario requires replacement. The next limitation of an off-grid system is that energy use must be monitored. For an off-grid system, it is very essential that you monitor your system to make sure that there is a balance between energy production and consumption, so that you not run out of power unexpectedly. Then the next limitation is that there is no grid support. In a situation whereby your inverter got spoiled or something happened to your system that led the system to shut down, you don't have the grid to fall back on. So for an off-grid system, you don't have grid support at all. Then we look into their use cases. The number one use case is in remote villages, farms, ranches with no grid access. The second one is in islands and mountains. And the third one is in emergency shelters and disaster resilient buildings that requires full power independence. The next use case is in projects where autonomy and sustainability are priorities. Then we look into hybrid system. Hybrid system is a power system setup that combines solar energy or other renewable energy, battery storage and connection to the utility grid. Then we move to the characteristics of a hybrid system. Number one is connection to the utility grid. The second one is it includes battery storage and backup capability. So for a hybrid system, you have battery storage for you to store power from excess electricity from the solar panel or power from the grid. Then we move to the advantages of a hybrid system. The number one advantage of a hybrid system is that it has power backup. For a hybrid system, you have a backup system like the batteries to store excess electricity for later use or during a grid blackouts. The second one is that it reduces reliance on the utility grid. With your energy storage, it reduces your reliance on the grid so that you can produce enough energy from your solar panels and store it in your battery. So when the grid is not available, you can still power your whole house without the grid. The next advantage is that it has option of net metering, so that you can feed excess electricity from your solar system to the grid to get some credit from the energy utility company. We look into their limitations. The number one limitation of a hybrid system is high initial cost. The cost of a hybrid system is expensive because it requires energy storage systems like the batteries which cost a whole lot of money. The second one is more complex design and maintenance. For a hybrid system, it's more complex to design a hybrid system because it has to be connected to the grid and you still have energy storage system. So the system has more complex design and maintenance. The third one is that it requires battery maintenance and replacement. For a hybrid system, it requires battery which degrades over time. So it requires maintenance on the battery and in worst case scenario, replacement. Then we move into the use cases of a hybrid system. Number one use cases is areas with unreliable grid supply or frequent power outages. The second one is for users who want power backup without going fully off grid. If you made it to the end of this video, I really appreciate you. Please do well to like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Turn on your notification button so you'll be notified when I release new videos. Click here to watch my recent upload on differences between bifacial solar panel and monofacial solar panel. See you in the next video.